A lot of people, when they hear the word elder, pull together an image and a narrative of elderly, decline, that kind of thing. That's not what I'm speaking about. I'm talking to that sort of 10 to 15 year runway that we have. You slipped out of midlife, no big deal. But what do you do in your 60s and your 70s? Because the women of this age group, they are incredible, phenomenal, still vital, still doing things, but no one's talking to them.
Has your life, your dreams been interrupted? Good news. It is possible to reinvent our lives. People are doing it every day, and some are brave enough to share the struggles, disappointments, and challenges. If you are looking for a new beginning, a do-over, or to rediscover your passion, maybe even find a new one, then grab a cup of coffee and let's talk. Interrupted, Act 2, Reinventing Your Legacy, with your host, Coach Lori.
Pamela Sylvan is the threshold crossing strategist, helping women who've outgrown their container cross into what's next strategically. And not only that, she has a podcast called Not My Mama's Midlife. Pamela, welcome.
Thank you so much, Lori, for having me today.
I love this so much, and Not Your Mama's Midlife. I'm obviously a little older than you. I really didn't know what to expect, in midlife and menopause and all those things. I hear so many women now that are saying, how come I didn't know? Why didn't anybody tell me? And so I love it that you're not only addressing this in a podcast, but I love the crossing to what's next strategist. That's so beautiful.
Thank you. Yes, just much like yourself, there wasn't a lot of information or inclination even to have these, what I would say, not quite complicated, but uncomfortable conversation. Even the talk of sex, I got a book. My mother came and dropped a book on my bed one day, and that's what I got. As far as the rest of it went, they didn't have the information, so it would have been hard for them to tell us anything about it. Now, we are having an up-level conversation around topics like menopause, for instance. That was such a big shoo conversation. So now everybody's in the midlife crisis conversation and the menopause conversation, perimenopause. Yet there is more. There is more to us. Now that we're living longer lives, we have a little bit of, experience, education, some resources behind us. What are we doing with the rest of our lives? What does it all mean? What is the next thing? So I went investigating that and created a whole sort of ecosystem around this topic. And I'm just waiting for my recent book to come out called Elder Power. It is 38 laws and 10 spiritual aspects for women in this later life season and what we're going to do about that. So that lands later this month.
Oh, I can't wait to get that.
The book launch page is being set up right now as we speak, and then off we go, because there are so many of us at this stage of life, and we're just not united in a conversation that has nothing to do with what's going on with our bodies. Yes, changes are happening, but it's not the only conversation.
You know what I love about that is, as an entrepreneur, I am in a lot of rooms with a lot of business women, and I think if we had the space to talk about some of those things while in business.
Yes.
Like when we're trying to do business, but we're having the hot flashes or we're having all the things that go with it, to have another member go, me too. And we go, okay, we're in this together. That's just that I like what you said. It's kind of that higher level of, can we be real and vulnerable and still be and do what we do?
Absolutely. And I pulled the term elderhood. It's not my term. There is the term going around already. A lot of people, when they hear the word elder, pull together an image and a narrative of elderly, decline, that kind of thing. That's not what I'm speaking about. I'm talking to that sort of 10 to 15 year runway that we have. You slipped out of midlife, no big deal. But what do you do in your 60s and your 70s? Because the women of this age group, they are incredible, phenomenal, still vital, still doing things, but no one's talking to them. The 40-year-olds are all wrapped up in the midlife talk, right?
Exactly.
So to your point, Lori, that's the kind of thing that I'm doing. I'm creating the space. So yes, we're not just having to talk about sweats. We're having to talk about what's next, what's now.
And I love to point out people who later in life, and, you know, like, I don't like to be called an elder, but I am. I get my senior discount for heaven's sakes. But like we look at Kentucky Fried Chicken, Colonel
Mhm.
Sanders,
Yeah.
the woman who wrote the book Chemistry, older, it was her first book.
Yeah.
And so we look at women now that are doing things later in life. And, you know, when we say successful, everyone has a different measure of success. But to
Hmm.
me, doing something in our second act or maybe even third,
Hmm.
successful now is what we say is successful. What makes us happy. We've done the thing, we know the drill, and now we're
Hmm.
trying to find this place of peace and calm and really make an impact in the last, I don't want to say last, that sounds any, but in another chapter of our lives.
Absolutely. And when people don't know what's possible for them or what's available to them, or they're not seeing other models doing it, you see, this is about the stage of modeling. That's how we learned as human beings. We saw how other people did things and we proceeded in like manner. But when we get to a certain stage as a woman, what do we see? We see things that we're probably not trying to aspire to half the time. And the women that are doing things, we're not in close proximity to these women. So, you know, when people hear the term elderhood, I'm changing what that means. I'm making it sexy again, or maybe for the first time. I always wanted to be that because when I saw women who portrayed what that looked like to me, I thought, oh, I have to be that. I was telling people I was older than I actually was before I was in my 60s because I wanted what they had. And what they had was that sort of inner presence that is a choice. It's not because you turned a number, you're that. No, it's a choice.
I love that. Well, let's get to, there was an interruption that brought you here. So tell us about that. And then we are going to talk more about this elderhood. I love it.
The interruption, wow, there are so many along the way sometimes that you forget the last few after a while. But I would say the most profound interruption started around my 50th year. I had moved across the country alone. I had left my primary relationship, left the area, and moved out west. And I didn't know anybody. I didn't have a job. I didn't have anywhere to live. All I knew was that time is ticking, and I needed to experience my life and myself in a certain way. I extracted myself from that. I was getting sick all the time, and I didn't understand why. Always ended up in emergency. The last time I left emergency, the nurse said to me, people that roll in here in your condition and the numbers that you were displaying normally don't leave. So when I heard that, I made a vow to life that whatever it took for me to stop this energy that was going through me, simply because I wasn't living my life the way that I wanted to, had to stop. And the only way to do it was to restart. So I unplugged myself from my marriage, my home, the city I was in, my job, all of it, and moved across the city. Across the country, 2 bags of clothes and a laptop. And I started and didn't stop because to me, at some point, all this will end, right? Or some diagnosis floats in on you, and that's the end of it. There is no, oh, I wish I had, or I have more time. People are waiting for the end. That was not going to be my story. Oh, that's all I knew.
That is so profound and so sad. And that's
Yeah.
why I do what I do, because
Hmm.
if I see someone waiting for the end, it breaks my heart.
Yes. Yes. And again, I'm a big believer in energy. When people surround themselves with people that are on about something, either a purpose or intention or a legacy or what have you, one of two things will happen. They will lean in or they will check out. because they are not energetically there. Basically, that's how I learn. I look for people who are doing the things and being the way that I wish to be. And I learn from their doing. And then I start to do in like manner. That's how you do, right? You pass along the flame. If they don't know specifically what to do, because most people don't and they don't understand, just take the first step that they think they can take. They don't have to blow their life up like I did. I blew my life up, but I did it because I knew one thing. I knew that I couldn't fail, and I believed the stories that I was telling people. I believed in life catching you. I believed enough in myself and my abilities that I can plug it in regardless of where I was going to land. And I did. I created something out of nothing.
And right behind your head is the sign, believe.
Believe. Yes,
Can I indulge you with my little believe story?
absolutely.
So I have a believe, but it's the big wooden blocks, like you see family, love, believe. And when my kids were graduating and I moved, because I raised them on an island in the Pacific Northwest, I moved to the mainland for my job. And so I was staying with my sister while looking for an apartment. And at the end of my bed on the dresser was my word, believe, because I always believed. But now here I am in a new city. My kids are graduated. I did have a job that I worked hard to get. I wanted to get back in radio, so that was good. I knew I was going to write a book, but I didn't know how. And I felt like I looked up at that word believe, and turn around and look at your word believe right now. What's in the very middle?
Live.
Yes.
Leave?
All I could see was LIE.
Yeah.
And I thought, all this coaching, all this Pollyanna, it was all a lie, and this is reality.
Yeah.
And I was really struggling, and a friend called me and she said, "You've got to meet this guy." And I thought, oh, she's matching me up. Well, he was a publishing coach, and he was at a little small university bookshop, and we went and listened to him talk. I said, "Can I get a copy of your book?" And he said, "I will give you one if you will call me tomorrow." And so I called him, I told him my story, and he was so gracious to work with me. And it took me a while to pay him off. I had to pay him. But once I met him and I started working on my book, I will never forget looking up one night before bed, and I looked at that word. I saw the whole word again. I saw believe, and I realized that the lie is what tries to stop us.
The lie, yes, and the lie that's perpetrated in the company that we keep, because we're always acting on a belief, whether the belief is an empowered one or a disempowering one. A belief is running us, whether you want to believe that or not. I keep this up here because the belief that I have is twofold. One, the belief in myself that I'm alive, I have good health, and I can move my body, and the belief in the muse. The muse is the energy, the co-creative energy that I work with, whether it's to do the kind of work that I do or just about anything. I take direction. My body is the outcropping of that energy that can make the thing manifest. So together we can get things done. The whole belief thing is also around the stories. You were talking about how you would get the sort of Pollyanna-ish type of advice, live your best life, and all of that kind of stuff. The only way people are going to experience themselves fully, or the idea they have of they're becoming, etc., is to just get out there and jump right in life and mix it up and do it in plain sight. And let it be okay if people laugh at you, if whatever the worst thing that you can think of happening, practice letting it be okay. So every time I press a publish button or a post button or whatever, it's with the knowledge that, yeah, some people may not like it. Some people might laugh at me. Some people might do this. Some people might do that. And I don't care to that degree anymore. I'm a human. Sure, every now and then it might sting, but not to the point where I will stop. And the life that I now live totally makes up for anything that might be of a negative nature.
I think about, and maybe it's more our generation, the thoughts that run through our head, the little gremlins, what will
Mhm.
people think? And I don't know if
Yeah.
it's just our generation, because the newer generation seems to be a little more free from that. But that
Mhm.
was what would sometimes would hold me back. And it's like, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. What matters is what I think. So now I've got to know you, where did you go and what happened? You just showed up in a city? Let me guess. You've been thinking about starting a podcast for what, a year now? Meanwhile, people with half your experience are out there becoming the authority online just because they hit record. And that's why I created Podcraft. It's the membership for women who know they have something worth saying, but want help with the tools, the tech, the strategy, and what actually to say, and maybe even how to say it. You get podcast tools, coaching, twice monthly office hours with me, Lori Hardy, because it's really not about you being seen, but it's about your story having an impact. Let's just stop overthinking it and start podcasting. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. What matters is what I think. So now I've got to know you, where did you go and what happened? You just showed up in a city?
I showed up in British Columbia coming from Ontario. And then because I was doing some things on Facebook, somebody saw that I was coming out west and wanted to know if I was available for some freelance work on one of the Gulf Islands. And I did that for a bit for the summer. And then after it was over, I ended up on Victoria on Vancouver Island. And again, I got a short-term stay place for 3 weeks until I found what I thought was my forever home. It was just beautifully situated, steps away from the ocean. Lived like that for 10 years. Started an online magazine called Downtown and Around, and that gave me the in to meeting people, meeting the mayor, the police, just everybody. And that's how I managed to ripple out into the community, and things started going from there. But it didn't matter. My mother was worried for me. Well, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? I mean, all of it. And I said, it doesn't matter. I'm available for life to do its good work with me. My belief was intact that it didn't matter. I just looked for the next sign and followed the breadcrumbs and the clues.
That was so brave.
Yep. Yep. My question for people, for women specifically, what would keep you from feeling that about yourself, feeling the bravery we all have it, activating your bravery muscle, activating your creative muscles, even if it's just for a season, just to experience your co-creative ability, especially at this time of one's life.
I'm so curious when you ask women that, what kind of answers you get.
A lot of them, it's like staring into I had the deer in the headlights type of thing, because no one's asked that question of them usually. They've not ever had to reach in to pull out an answer in most cases. Most women, and I'll say men too, but I deal with women, most women have lived the same day for 50 years. I call it the Groundhog Day principle, because although we think we experience it as a new day, new year, all of that, it's the same day, meaning you're doing the same thing, same thoughts, same conversation, same people, same food, same path to work, same day. Nothing has changed. And you will fight to keep it the same.
And what is that? That is the thing. I've been hearing people say iterations of this, of how hard we fight to keep our story, even though it's not right.
Yeah. Well, it's identity to see without the story, who are you? So I do a lot of identity dissolution work with clients as well. This is how you experience yourself differently. Let's dig out the story, because after a while you're numb to the story. That's your blind spot, right? You don't see it. A new person coming in could see it in an instant and present it to you. Some people feel like sort of like a backlash, because identity work is a very tricky thing. Some people will fight to the end for their identity, as we have been seeing. You have to be ready for the change. You have to be ready to face it. You have to be ready to release and dissolve a little bit at a time. But here's the thing. If you don't do that work yourself, life will do it for you, because life is about evolution. And if life comes in to do it for you, you're not going to like it.
That is so powerful. Okay. So here's something that I've been experiencing. You are bringing light to this is when we get to a certain age, I have a belief, I think other women do too, that we
Mhm.
should know all the things. And so that reluctance is like, for me, sometimes is like, how can I be this age and I'm still trying to figure certain things out? And so there's kind of a resistance. And as a coach, as an entrepreneur, I feel like I walk through this almost every day,
Mhm.
whatever new technology, whatever new thing. At first, I resist it and I don't want
Mhm.
to get into it. And sometimes I get mad. Like the first thing I said to you is Zoom changed. It's like, can anything stay the same? And yet, that's the beauty, isn't it? That things do evolve
Absolutely.
and change, and we can evolve with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, we are creatures of habit. So any kind of change is a dangerous signal to our our consciousness. So we don't want to change. No matter how much growth and how much work you've done on yourself, you get to a place and it's like it's cozy and it's comfy. I just want to hang out where I am. For those that want to do some growth work, yes, you're going to feel that resistance, but it's all part of the game. The resistance is part of the process. The resistance produces the friction and the tension needed so you know that something exciting is happening, that you're working towards something. If it was too easy, if it wasn't a bother, why would you want to do it anyway, right? So there's always going to be that resistance. It's about pointing the energy properly in the direction in which you like to go. It's not about how, it's about walking towards the vision. The how presents itself as you go. It's about going with others. It's nice to do this in community with others, not in the same manner or for the same reason, but you hear the stories. You hear that, oh, that's normal then. Oh, me too. Or here's a good idea. Have you thought about this? I talked to this person. Maybe you want to talk to that person. I read that book or whatever. It doesn't matter what the thing is. It's that you are willing. At this age, it's even more exciting to do it because you have years of lived experience behind you to bring into the conversation or to whatever it is you're creating. You have a knowledge of yourself. You know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to work on next or now. There's just so much on your side at this stage of life. It's not about, oh, I'm too old or, oh, all the reasons we give ourselves. It's about sitting down with self, being in communion with self, and saying, okay, now that my children are grown, I'm not a full time mom like I used to be. If you had children, you may not have had children. Maybe your job situation has changed or slowed down, or altogether you're retired. Or maybe you are no longer in that primary relationship anymore, whatever the situation is there. Either way, this stage of life is the time where you get to dial into the wholeness and fullness. Yes, youth is wonderful. Enjoy it if you got it. Okay. If you're 25, 30, sure, you're all that and a bag of chips. But what those younger people don't have on you and I is knowledge. We see patterns that they have yet to experience.
That is so beautiful. Okay, I have some questions. Now,
Sure.
one is when you were going from Ontario to British Columbia, because I'm just down from you in Seattle. Um,
Okay.
were you having thoughts like, what am I doing? Or were you just excited? Like what?
Good question. I was in the airport bawling my eyes out before the plane took off. I called my ex and I said, look, thank you for being the kind of father that our daughter can count on because if I didn't have that, I couldn't make this journey. I could leave her in Ontario because he was there and he's that kind of father. Not all fathers are made the same. I was in the airport, major doubt, major. Where am I going into the great unknown? What am I doing? I mean, have I lost it? Do I need medical assistance here? What's happening? But he said to me, and this is why it's good to have somebody else on the other line of things. He said to me, this man that I'm no longer with said to me, if anybody can do this, you can just go. I stopped crying. And I said, yes, that's why it's good to have a witness to the beginning of the journey. Because a lot of people don't start their journeys that life has prepared for them because there is nobody to say, I believe in you. I can't walk it, but I believe that you have what it takes. We all have that. And if you can't find it, find rooms and circles that provide that kind of energy and beginner's joy and all of those exciting little moments along the way as you step into the great unknown, into liminal space, I call it, into the tumbling and into the void. And it's going to feel scary. You're going to feel alone. You're going to feel as if you're walking this this wilderness experience alone. And yes, you are, but you are not alone. One, you have your muse. Two, you have yourself. Three, you have a community if you're plugged into one that watches you do it.
That is so important. And as a early entrepreneur before internet, it was very difficult to find a community of women that were trying to work from home.
Yeah.
And now with the internet and with certain types, and I would say not all networking groups are great, but some of them really are the kind that they refer you and they see what you do. And it's not all about, look at me, look at me. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, how can I support what you do? So that community is so amazing. And your story has just warmed my heart because I love what you said about you don't have to blow up your life. Because what I do is I help women start their podcasts. And do you remember when you started yours? Were you scared and confused, but you pushed record anyway?
I pushed record. My ethos is I think everyone's staring and looking. Most people aren't. Most people don't even know you exist, right? This is all really a thing in your head. Nobody cares. No one's really looking. Everyone has their face in their phone at this point. And that's the beauty of this stage of life. Go do the weirdest, quirkiest thing you can think of because no one's looking at you because in their mind, you're finished. You're older. No one's looking at you. However, here I'm gonna make you laugh. I think I was thinking this the other day when I was in the gym, and then I finished my workout and I go to get my bag and stuff, and this young guy comes up to me. He says, "You're just slaying it," and I'm thinking, "What? What do you mean?" He says, "I see you all the time, and you're just slaying it." I'm thinking, "Oh, there's a young guy checking me out. I like it." And here I am thinking I'm working my invisibility superpower. And someone's looking.
I love that. How often do we feel invisible? And then, like for me, I'll get a glimpse. Someone will say, "Oh, something you said to me way back when, or whatever, has really stuck with me." I'm like, "Really?" Like,
Yeah.
we do matter. And I think the lie of elderhood, I love this, is we don't matter. We've exhausted everything and we're done. And that the truth is, we have legacy to bring, we have legacy to live. Okay, what you said about this stage of life, some of the work I do is with my friends Janine and Tracy, and they have Rockstar Diaries, and they do story to stage. And her and I have done some workshops of story to stage. And I always say your stage is social media. It's maybe a stage, maybe it's a podcast, maybe it's a YouTube. But what if a stage is this stage of elderhood? This
Yes.
is our stage.
It absolutely is. Think about all of the generations, which includes all of those eyeballs that are looking for someone to way show them into this time of life. My way showers are all gone. They passed on. So who am I looking to? Right? So I'm the ancestor for somebody in the back row somewhere that will say, hey, because she existed, because she wrote down the codes, because she wrote down some laws and some aspects, and because she did all of these things, and she had some quirky name podcast called Not My Mama's Midlife, and because she got on a plane one day, and because she's now doing van life across the country, and because she did all the things that she did, I now have a blueprint in which a blueprint of courage, a blueprint of imagination, a blueprint of following through and getting it done and believing yourself and all of those markers. So that next person or people behind me can gather what they need from all of the things I put down and for all the things all the other women in the team and the group and the community put down so they can pick and choose. And that's why I'm diligently working on a vault, an elder vault, so people can get what they need.
This is so amazing. If someone wants to work with you, first of all, where do they find you?
Just Google my name, Pamela Sylvan, and all things pertaining to me pop up, whether it's essays I do on Substack two or three times a week. Elder Club will be opening soon. The book launches this month. I'm bringing in a body of work around this season of a woman's life, not about elderhood, where we're talking about physical decline, which I think others are talking about right now.
Mhm.
I'm talking about, I'm going to lean in here. I'm talking about that power. It's almost dangerous, if you will, that power that we were distracted away from because we were busy cooking, cleaning, nurturing, working. So we think we're tired now. We are tired because all of this, all that our life has accumulated to be, has nowhere to go. So we feel tired. You will light up like a firecracker once you are activated and flipped on. Tapped in, tuned in, turned on, somebody said.
I love that. What does working with you look like? Do you do like one-on-one coaching, or is it more about getting into your community?
It's a mix of things. Again, what's needed. I do one-on-ones probably 2 or 3 times a year. It's building the cohorts where people can work together, but I only create small groups of cohorts. But the Elder Club itself, which will be switched on in May, it's on an online space. I will only want a certain number of women in there, maybe about around 200 women would be a really good number. When I say these metrics, people will think, "Oh, how come she doesn't want 2,000 or 200,000?" I want a certain number because I think the power is in a focused type of energy that is going to get a lot of things done. So the Elder Club is a place for women to come and get what they need. When they get in there, it's going to look like they landed in Netflix. It's going to be that type of setup. So what do you need? What are the 5-minute course that you need? What's the book that you need? What is the template that you need? What is it that you need? How do you plug into the new emerging elder culture? What do you need? And then I will do group calls within that club, in that community. So to clearly answer your question, I do one-on-ones, I do cohorts, and then the community will come live.
This has been so amazing. I don't know if you can tell, but I have tears in my eyes because it's so powerful and so needed. And what is it, before we go, Pamela, that you really want us to know?
First of all, the obvious, that you matter and you're not done. And 3, there's information that was taken away, kept from you, that if you knew existed, would change who you see yourself to be, know yourself to be, and experience yourself to be.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. This was a joy.
Next time, Uninterrupted.
Got really excited to talk about their experiences after watching the film. If for some people, just hearing about the concept, sleep paralysis, or an experience they had with the UFO, or even an abduction when they were younger, I found that a lot of people started talking about stories that I'd never heard of, friends of mine that I'd never heard of. And so to me, this is just an opportunity for a great discussion.
If you love this podcast, here's a big ask. Will you share with your friends and family, subscribe, give us a review, and a 5-star rating so that others looking to reinvent their lives will be able to get the help they're looking for? Thank you in advance.